कहते हैं भगवान नाचते नहीं।
We can start.
गोपियों की तरह तुम नचाते नहीं।
Avinash, sure. We can start now. Ma'am, can we start now?
Kalpana,
It's already 5:30.
first you see Jogeshwari is in line or not?
Yes, yes. Madam is there.
Okay, you can start now.
Thank you, ma'am. More smiling, less worrying. More compassion, less judgment. More blessed, less stressed. More love, less hate. A very warm good morning to you, ma'am, and good evening to all of you. Esteemed speaker of this session, Dr. Madhvi Singh from Penn State College of Medicine, USA. Sri Binod Das, our Chief Patron and Chairman, Synergy Group of Institution, Dhenkanal and Bhubaneswar. Dr. Ithisri Mohanty, Principal, Synergy Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dhenkanal. Dr. Jogeshwari Raut, Principal, Synergy Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. Sri Bijay Kumar Sahu, Principal, Delhi Public School, Dhenkanal. Dr. P.K. Nayak, Director, Synergy, Dhenkanal. Governing body members, head of the departments, faculty members, representatives of different organizations, participants, and dear students. I am Mrs. Kalpana Sahu from the Department of Management, Synergy Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dhenkanal. On behalf of Synergy, welcome you all to the 61st webinar on stress management, organized by Department of Management, Synergy, Dhenkanal, in association with Institutions Innovation Council. We're organizing the week from 5th of July to 9th of July on various emerging topics with eminent speakers. We have witnessed 4 great sessions on time management, role of ethics and values in human life, schemes of MSMEs, and today we are having session on stress management with Dr. Madhavi Singh. Yesterday we had a very great experience with Madam Namrata Chadha on gender equality. Today we all have gathered here to discuss about a very important topic, stress management, which is the most vehemently discussed issue with significant implications for the future of human well-being. I would like to quote that don't try to fix whatever comes in your life. Fix yourself in such a way that whatever comes, that will be fine. No work is stressful. It's your inability to manage your body, mind, and emotions that makes it stressful. I'm sure that you all will feel enriched with the knowledge after completion of this event. I welcome you all once again to the seminar and hope that you all will have a great time ahead. Now, I would like to request Dr. Jogeshwari Raut, Principal, Synergy Bhubaneswar, to deliver the welcome address. Ma'am, please.
Thank you, Madam. Good evening to one and all present in this webinar. Esteemed speaker, Dr. Madhvi Singh, Penn State College of Medicine, USA. Respected Chairman and Managing Trustee Sri Binod Das. Director, Dr. P.K. Nayak. Principal, Dr. Ithisri Mohanty. Principals of Synergy Polytechnic, Dhenkanal and Bhubaneswar. Principal of BSc Wing, Principal of DPS, Dhenkanal, invited guests, faculty, staff members, students from across the globe. On behalf of Synergy Group of Institutions, I welcome you all to the 61st International Webinar on Stress Management. At first, I would like to thank the coordinator, Mrs. Kalpana Sahu, for choosing such a topic which is most befitting in the context of the current COVID-19 situation. Managing stress is really a tough job for both staff and students during this pandemic situation. Hope all the attendees will learn the art of stress management from our expert and implement in their real life. With this, once again, I welcome you all to the webinar and wish the webinar a grand success. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. So let me take the pleasure of introducing Dr. Madhavi Singh. Dr. Madhavi Singh attended Gajrao Raja Medical College and later competed via national and state exams to get selected for Masters in Obstetrics and Gynecology at Kamla Raja Hospital. After moving to US, she did family med residency and has been practicing as a hospitalist and primary care physician for 15 years. She joined Penn State College of Medicine in 2010 and has regularly taught medical students throughout. Since 2015, she is also a hospitalist teaching faculty for family medicine residents and perceives clinic time at the residency. Her background of obstetrics and gynecology and her added certification of integrative medicine serves her well in training in the new generation of family physicians. During her time at Penn State College of Medicine, she has received multiple teaching awards from medical students, family medicine residents, and college administration, which include Exceptional Teacher Award in 2013, 2015, and 2016. Exceptional Role Model Teacher Award in 2014 and 2016. Faculty Recognition Award in 2018 and 19. Teacher of the Year Award in 2019 and 20. In 2020, she was selected for the position of Master Educator at the University Park campus of Penn State College of Medicine. In her role, she is involved as a course lead for third-year medical students. She also participates in first-year medical student learning by facilitating the inquiry group sessions. In January 2021, she has been appointed to the role of Clerkship Ally from Office of Respectful Learning Education, where she will work with all of the second-year Clerkship member students, medical students, to help provide excellent learning opportunities during their clinical clerkships. Her perspective article published in Journal of Regional Medical Campuses, October 2019, shares her passion for teaching. So without making any delay, now I would like to request ma'am for her address. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Kalpana, and thank you, Dr. Rath, for this opportunity. I am going to share my slide first. Everyone can see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I know it's morning here, but hope things are kind of settling down up there. And I know the pandemic is not as much in pace like it was a few months ago. So hope everyone is taking a moment to relax and kind of process all the information. And in that process, I think this is a great topic as to looking back and moving forward, lessons learned, and how to keep moving through it. So, and again, thankful for this opportunity for the Synergy College, and I'll move forward here. So again, everybody knows this being, the living being that created a lot of problem in our lives. My opportunity today is not just to lecture, but I think more or less I would like people to keep the chat open and mention whatever they have in mind and keep it interactive. Pandemic was the, I think, biggest stressor it's not just as a nation, it's at a level of the whole world, which tested each and everyone's ability to cope with stress. It's like you go to school, you learn a lesson, but when you are in real setting and you practice it, that is what this pandemic put us through, a practical test that was very rigorous and hard for each one of us. Trying to move the slide, but it's okay there. So what was the effect of pandemic? If we have to sum up in one word, loss of many different things. And loss of structure, loss of being able to socialize, loss of jobs, loss of money, and loss of lives. I was fortunate that I didn't lose anybody in my close family member, but when I hear any friend and work colleagues
Avinash sir, perhaps ma'am has got disconnected.
Mine got disconnected, yes.
Okay.
My presentation was not visible.
Yes, sir. Maybe having some network issue. So let me make her a call. Okay. Yes, ma'am is just joining soon. She was got disconnected. We will just start in next 1 minute. I request all the participants to have patience because we will be starting it very soon.
तरह तुम न चाहते नहीं। अच्युतम केशवम कृष्ण दामोदरम राम नारायणं जानकी वल्लभम। कौन कहते हैं भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं। कौन कहते हैं भगवान सोते नहीं, माँ यशोदा के जैसे सुलाते नहीं।
Okay, can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yes.
Okay, so we're back. I don't know where we left here. So loss of structure, socializing, jobs, money, life. And again, this was very hard on everybody, testing our skills left and right. Different articles I'm bringing here, post-COVID stress disorder. This is from Psychiatric Times, talking about another emerging consequence of the global pandemic. So different groups have met qualifying criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. I don't know if everybody here understands what that means. I can explain a little bit about stress later on. But basically, anytime there is such a large-scale traumatic event, it leaves a very strong impression in our mind, which can lead to mental health problems. And so those who have themselves suffered from severe COVID-19 illness and potential deaths, individual who as a family member and healthcare worker have witnessed others suffering and death, individuals who have learned about death or risk of death of a family member or friend due to virus, or individuals who have experienced extreme exposure to aversive details, first responder, journalist, medical examiner, and hospital personnel. I can tell you, obviously, a lot of my friends are clinicians, and the experience they had, especially those who were actively involved, even in India, I think they're coming out and talking about how they were, not just the pandemic part and how families were reacting to them. And forget India, even here initially, whenever pandemic, the hospitals were having a hard time. Some of the smaller hospitals couldn't keep up, so they were cutting down their staff, and people were overloaded with work. Physicians were working extra hours. One of my good colleagues, he contracted COVID, and it was very traumatizing for a lot of people. So this is CDC data talking about trauma and stress-related disorders, 26%, anxiety, depression, 30% substance use, and suicide ideation. Here's another article, shares average share of adults reporting symptoms of anxiety disorder and or depressive disorder. So here's the data from 2019. And this is from January 2021. Going further into that article, they talk about young adults. How were they affected? Closure of their university, loss of income, leading to poor mental health. larger than average share of young adults report symptoms of anxiety and depressive disorder. Compared to all adults, young adults were more likely to report substance use and suicidal thoughts. During pandemic, adults in households with job loss or lower income reported high symptoms of mental illness than those without jobs or income loss. Poor mental health and well-being of children and their parents, particularly mothers with school closure and lack of childcare. Women with children are more likely to report symptoms of anxiety, depression, disorder than men with children. So basically, it's very obvious what we as a humanity went through during these testing times. And the impression it has created on our mind is not short-lived. It is going to have long-lasting effect. And again, those folks who have good skills internally built, they tend to do better than those who struggle with those skills. So there we are going to hear emphasize a little bit about the stress in general. So what is stress? It's a body's automatic response to any physical, mental demand placed on it. Adrenaline, along with other chemicals, is a chemical naturally produced in our body as a response to stress. I'm sure everybody has heard about flight or fight response is elicited. When there's danger, we run away, or we get angry, or we fight. And this is all because of how we get wired. And sorry, this picture is not complete here. So this is prefrontal cortex. So this is the part of the brain that keeps us calm and mellowed and more rational, versus this hypothalamus and amygdala. So a person who's going through chronic stress or very significant traumatic events in their life, this part of amygdala becomes hyperactive, which is why people who have had traumatic childhood later on are likely to become more impulsive and have anger problems. And that's because of that fight and flight response, and which releases a lot of hormonal hormones, which leads to imbalance. So in that process of this whole amygdala being extremely activated, there is a gland right below it. It's called pituitary gland, which is where most of the stress hormones are activated from. So this would release ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, which then activates your adrenal glands, which is right above your kidneys, which releases the hormones like glucocorticoids and adrenaline. And that constant stress response is there, which then would lead to disturbed sleep pattern, because again, I don't know if any of you had to take steroid for any health problems, but anybody who is on it becomes hyperactive, hypervigilant, can't sleep. So same thing, if your body is in stress, it's naturally releasing all those hormones. Leads to emotional distress, poor eating habits, and then sleep-related cognitive problems means relation to our mental abilities. So our attention and focus is affected. Learning and recall gets affected. Short-term memory problems, word finding. Again, this is constantly a cycle, and eventually people do tend to have an impact as they age with memory problems leading to Alzheimer's disease. Some common words: the effect of stress on our body: headache, muscle tension, pain, chest pain. Some people who are very anxious can have all these chest tightness. Fatigue, always feeling tired, sleep problem, and stomach feeling upset. I think we all know whenever we're taking major tests how our stomach is growling, we're having a lot of acid built up in our stomach. Then on our mood, we get anxious, we feel restless, we lack motivation. I would, for example, rather just sleep in my bed when I'm stressed out than wanting to do anything, or feeling overwhelmed. A job that can be easily done by a person becomes challenging whenever they are going through stress. Irritability or anger, feeling sad or depressed. And then obviously that leads to overeating and undereating. Somebody who is sad has no desire to eat, or someone may be overeating, and you can keep poking them, hey, you didn't eat, but their mind is just not there. Angry outburst. So if there are students who are going through a lot of challenges during their educational years and they don't have good coping skills, what that would lead to is becoming easily angry, and the problem may be the underlying stress. And drugs and alcohol misuse, tobacco use, social withdrawal. They don't want to socialize, they want to hide in their room, and their desire to exercise goes down. So is all stress bad? I think I'm not sure if I would call it stress, if it's something that we can handle. Stress, eustress and stress, distress, there are terms used. Just enough stimulation in our lives keeps us going. But yeah, when it becomes excessive, then it's hard for even the most talented person to face them. And again, those coping skills is what we continue to help build so a person is able to manage these stressful times in life. So what are the different stressors? School for a student, it's fun. It's good to be around learning environment and other classmates. But another kid who is being bullied all the time may have a long-lasting effect from that school exposure. Work, again, work brings money. We feel happy when we get our first job and we have our first paycheck. But if we are in an environment where we are expected to do more than our capacity, or colleagues that are not supportive, that again cause a lot of stress. Family, again, who does not love their family, but at times we could always have challenging relations in our family. Same thing with relationship, legal issues, finances, health and illness, again, any type of illness to self or close family members can also bring stress. Environment, living situations. Again, going back to pandemic, obviously, pandemic appears to be a risk factor for sleep disorder and psychological disorder. This was another study done, published from Italian population sleep medicine journal. Medical staff, I think I already spoke about that, how much they went through in regards to stress during pandemic. And still, we have in our local hospital a wellness committee created because of all the trauma that clinicians and the staff went through to help them process all that. Because if we don't process, it stays there and it leads to different pathologies. So again, we have a good outline of what stress is, what it can do to our body. And it's not just, I know I talked about very vague terminologies, but I can talk more. Any child who has gone through traumatic events at a young age, they don't just have mental health problems. Their incidence of cancer and stroke and heart disease is always high. So again, it's important to process, important to learn how to cope with stressors. So different stress relief strategies. body relaxation exercises. I think all of you guys know yoga and all that stuff, but I think the reiteration, repetition, because sometimes when we are not in the right state of mind, it's easy to get back to our unhealthy ways. Yoga Nidra, I think we all know. And oftentimes I do ask my patients who are struggling with anxiety to learn these techniques and try them. Guided imagery, again, that has been my favorite meditation type most of my young adulthood and teenage years. Physical exercise. Physical exercises release endorphin, which again is helpful for our well-being. Endorphins, just like the picture I showed you earlier of the pituitary gland, which is below the amygdala, that pituitary gland and surrounding area would release these happy hormones called endorphins whenever we exercise. So we go for a run, we come out, even though we may be feeling sad before we started, by the time we end, we often tend to feel better. Yoga, again, that brings the mindfulness piece to any exercise. Routine, obviously. Meditation, again, when we're stressed out, when we're in the midst of crisis, it's hard to pick up a habit at that point. So developing these skills early on at a younger age modulates our mind to reach out to those behaviors. So if a kid is growing up in a volatile environment, anger all around them, when they get stressed out, all they know is to just be angry, versus a kid or a young teenager who's taught that, okay, when you're stressed out, you step back, you do meditation, take a few moments, then later on in life, when those situations come, that's what they are going to do. Counseling, I think in India, when I was growing up, I don't recall people talking about counseling, but now I think it's very rampantly available, and we should reach out and access these services. Some may wonder, why not reach out to the family members? Certainly, but oftentimes our family dynamics may affect the way we process things. There may be emotional attachment, so the way somebody who's close to us may counsel us may be biased. So having a third person who looks at it from a neutral angle may be a better option for guiding us. So in counseling, there could be talk therapy, life coaching, and I think this is very easily available nowadays. Socializing. Those who tend to be loners tend to struggle more versus, for example, I can just share my own experiences. During pandemic, we were all in lockdown here, just like you guys had to go through it later on. First thing I would do, I would wake up, I would feel anxious. So I would do my morning stuff and call my brother or call my mother. And that would just relax me because, again, the time difference helped me versus here, everybody's sleeping at 6 o'clock. Who am I going to call? Or sometimes in the evening, if I'm stressed out and feeling really down for some reason, I would just pick up my phone, call my friends and chat with them. So learning to have that support system around and not trying to process all of the stresses by yourself. And maintaining schedule. So even in the hardest time, having a schedule keeps us going. It's like if you're in a crowd, the crowd kind of pushes you to a destination, wherever they are going. Same thing, a schedule becomes the biggest tool that will help a person get through even the most challenging time. Getting up on time, avoiding to sleep late, even on weekends. So I know as a teenager, I think there were some moments I may have slept in, but I oftentimes, even if I slept late, my mom would always wake me up early in the morning, and that habit sticks with us. So later on, when we are in workforce, those skills help us. Other helpful tips, changing perception and expectations. I think all of you have experiences, and I think Kalpana gave a good introduction in that topic. If I am in a difficult situation or I have a colleague who is difficult, I could make a big scene about it, fight about it, create problems about it, or try to understand where this person is coming from. Why are they acting that way? Which takes time, because initially anything bad happen, it affects our ego. And when ego is affected, the monster in us tries to come out. So having a perception that, like Kalpana described, is what can I change? What can I process? What can I help in the situation that I'm in? Takes us a long way in any journey, work, home, or any different situations. Same thing with expectations. I think we tend to compare ourselves with the people around us. And with the social media, it's even more challenging and difficult. I'm not on any social media. Is my life very lonely? Not really. I think I find myself more complete not being on social media. It has its own role. It has its value in staying connected or information gathering. But to use it as a way to connect, it's like somebody's 5,000 people are in your life every day, every second of your life if you're on social media. And that's just not healthy for our brain and emotions. So when we see, oh, this friend went to this vacation, this friend bought a car, that creates different expectations. So we want to do it. So I think limiting that, changing the way we approach life with our social surroundings, again, helps us stay focused on the main important themes in life. Break job tasks into manageable parts. Again, if you're a college student, then I think I used to struggle a lot with anxiety during exams. So I learned in med school that if I didn't study from the very beginning, I couldn't cram everything at the end. So it was just not my style of studying, because again, I learned my strengths and my weaknesses. I think that's a very important lesson in life, is knowing how much I can push in which dimension of my life and where I need to step back. Setting reasonable, realistic goal. Again, same point, is what am I capable of? It's like I'm going to buy a house, but I don't want to look at my bank balance on how much money I have. The same thing here is knowing what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses. And sometimes we don't know, and this is where having guides, people in our life who we consider as our coaches, who can be honest and tell us what we are capable of doing. Avoid procrastination. Again, like I said, I think I was never somebody who could wait till the last minute, because again, anxious. Again, too much anxiety has an effect on our body. So I had to study from the very beginning, slowly. Any project I get myself into, I take my time doing it. I divide it into, not very religious about it. I think some people are very methodical in how they approach things. But I just create a mental framework and try not to overbook myself. Setting boundaries, again, that comes with life, living life initially. We tend to want to please everybody, but with time we learn that it's not helpful. It's good to know how to say no. But again, that takes life. Don't compromise your values and beliefs. That's a very important piece in our life, because if we let go of that, then I think we become very empty, and then it's very hard to stay focused in life to the core of what our goals are. Scheduling me time, especially for women who are in workforce, administrative level, where the demand is very high. To go home and worry about our child and family. Not to feel guilty when you take your time away. Okay, I'm going to go out with my friends and have fun. Because that's healthy. That's very important for our emotional and mental well-being. And same for men. I mean, I'm not trying to be very pro-women here, but oftentimes women tend to have a bigger role at home. So again, both genders, everybody. Avoid caffeine or any substances, limiting the use of any form of substance, whether it's alcohol or caffeine. In general, eating healthier. I was just at work yesterday. I was working evening shift, and I was sitting with my colleague, and I was sharing. Over last 5 days, I was out with my son, and I ate food that I'm not usually used to, all the fries and sandwiches. I become very sensitive to different high refined carb type of food. And last few days, I've been sitting with patients and not able to focus. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to really fix my diet. So again, for some people, it doesn't bother. For me, it bothers. So I had to learn that. As a teenager, it was so hard for me to see everybody eating and not me being able to eat what everybody ate because of how it made me feel. But with time, I had to give up a chocolate bar. I could eat a whole chocolate bar in one sitting. And then next day, I'm miserable. I can't focus at work. So then you grow up and you realize, okay, this is not going to work. I need to change my style of life. So basic tips, those are from my journey of life and what I have experienced going through the educational experience, which was very demanding, and the work, which was very demanding, doing evening shifts and night shifts where we were up all night trying to admit patients. When you're admitting patients, your cognitive function at the mental level has to be at the peak, because otherwise you'll make mistakes, and mistakes means you're losing a patient's life. So to be able to do that, one has to have a lot of discipline, and discipline comes from strength in emotional well-being. So they all kind of feed off of each other. If you're not structured, it's going to affect your emotions. If your emotions are up and down too much, you may not want to participate in being structured. So it has to be, the effort has to be put into every front. So again, since we're in the time of pandemic, just few slides related to coping up with that. Again, watching, not too much watching the news, limiting to spending more time at home, taking breaks. Same thing with social media, like I said, limit the use as much as possible. Be more honest and authentic there. And I remember one of my psychiatrist friend was saying it's so interesting to see people on social media now in their real themselves. Nobody's trying to put a fake person out there while their life at home may be totally different. So being authentic helps us. Again, self-care, like we just talked about. So initially, when I started working as a hospitalist, those shifts are 12-hour long shifts. And if I have patients, 20 patients, it's a lot of work because you're trying to, these are very complex patients which require multiple specialty and caseworker and physical therapist and a lot more other team members who I have to interact with. So by afternoon, I'm feeling exhausted. And then I would skip lunch because I'm running behind. By 3, 4 o'clock, my brain is shut down. I can't work. So first I had to learn to eat on time. Number 2, I had to learn to just take a few minutes away and just give my mind a rest. So I would just go to this kitchen area, get a drink of water, and just drink that slowly. And then go back to seeing patients. So those little breaks just give our mind room to be able to function again. Maintain routine, like we talked about, set regular time to get up, go to bed, meal time. Again, like I just told you, if I skip lunch, my brain is not working at 2, 3 o'clock. So that structure is extremely important. Taking time to relax. I know in pandemic, all of us were stuck indoors. So playing board games, I mean, again, there are a lot of different things we could do, but even in India now, the lockdown is gone, and I think everybody is going back to their routine. But the lessons learned is, again, same, is focusing on the core structure of our life, sticking together with families, spending one-on-one time with our loved ones and friends. I know at that point, initially when the lockdown started, everybody was learning about WhatsApp here and how to do video chats. And I could just tell them, hey, I've been doing that for the last 20 years since I've been in US. I do that with my family in India. But that was a different way of connecting. And like this session, we would not have had this session today if we had not gone through the tragic experience of pandemic, which led us to explore different ways of connecting and bonding. I think I shared this slide earlier. And then practicing compassion. I think Kalpana talked about this too, is caring about self is one thing. And then when we make mistakes, forgiving ourselves and being kind to self. Again, that takes time. I think as a kid growing up in a competitive environment, we are taught to be perfect, provide the best from us. And it takes learning from experience that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to fail. It's okay to not be right all the time. And again, like I said earlier, reaching out to the professionals for help, counseling, and reaching out to mental health providers. There shouldn't be shame around it. I think if I can remember in Indian history, I think Deepika Padukone was the first celebrity who came out and talked about her depression. And I think that's a good role model, that if somebody at that level is able to talk about their personal challenges, we should not be ashamed to access services and get help. I think this was about a Chinese study which talked about how mental health services have been easily available online via Zoom or other online platforms. And again, same here. During lockdown, we were doing a lot of online patient care, but that was good in many ways. Some of my older folks, like those in 80s or their 90s, I was able to meet them in their home. It was a very good feeling in some ways, because often they would come to the office. So there was a different type of bond, and the support, providing them that support in their own home. I think the receiver feels good about it, and the person feels like me as a caregiver or provider connects at a different level. And obviously, financial stressors through these times were a big challenge. So learning to modify our needs accordingly and supporting those in need. And I think that's all I have here. I'm open to questions, but again, I think this session for me is more like I want to share what I experienced from life, what my challenges were growing up as a teenager, as a young adult, or now when I practice in my profession, what challenges, what I struggle with, and how I have worked through them.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for such an informative and wonderful presentation. Actually, we have already got the questions during your presentation even. So the question is from Dr. Kesav Rawat, that how to identify a kind of red warning flag that indicates too much stress. How to identify a kind of red warning flag that indicates too much stress. The question from Dr. Kesav Rawat.
Okay. Hi, Dr. Keshav Rawat. So, good question. So, I can tell you from my own personal experiences, a few months ago, I had a lot on my plate, just work responsibilities. And so, first thing is my sleep gets disturbed. I start to become very easily irritable. And my schedule, I skip doing things that I enjoy doing, and I don't want to participate in things that are healthy for me. So those are my warning flag. I'm like, okay, I need to step back. And so sometimes I take work, I'm going to write this article, and then I have to tell the people, okay, no, I cannot do it because I'm seeing, I think my balance is going off. Or before, like a few years ago, difficult life situations, I wasn't even aware how angry I was. Now, when I look back, oh my God, I mean, that was all because of how much stress I was in. So sometimes it's hard to even know, and we tend to justify our anger in those moments. So having people around us who can help us see that, that's very helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Siri.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. We have got another question. That is there any parameter or is there any unit to measure stress that at least we can know that how much stress we have?
Good point. I think these few behavior changes that we have talked about are a good significator of what's going on in our lives, and each individual responds differently to stress. So it's very individual. One has to learn our own self to see what my thermometer is or what my meter for stress is. And again, if we see these behavior popping up where we're not sleeping, we are not in schedule, we're avoiding or getting angry, irritable, not eating on time. All those things should start to point that, okay, I think my stress is more than what it should be.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Then again, another question that one of our professor has suggested that the best way to release our stress is sharing the difficulty with dear ones. Is there any way to manage it apart from yoga and meditation? So is it only limited, the solution is only limited to yoga and meditation, or something beyond that can also happen?
Yeah, like he himself answered the question is sharing the stress with loved ones. Another thing that I have found useful is reading literature of those who we connect with, or listening to music. I think distraction always helps, watching movies or going out with friends. There are many different things we can do. But yeah, if something is really bothersome and we have somebody who we can trust, sharing with them is very important.
Yes, ma'am. We have another good question that constructive stress in the organization benefits. Some departments may give adverse effects on some departments. So it's about constructive stress. Then how to solve this conflict?
I'm not sure if I understood the question.
Yes, ma'am. That Dr. J. Venugopal, can you please ask your question? Dr. J. Venugopal, you can unmute yourself and you can put your question.
Hello.
Hi, Dr. Venugopal.
Hello. Good evening, madam.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah. In the case of some organizations which are very productive, normally organization conflict will arise, madam. In successful organization also, as for regarding allocation of resources, especially in financial resources, some departments may be having very constructively, they will go deeply thinking and take the advantage of the product diversification, product expansion scheme, successful launching the products for promotions, all these things. That means huge resources have been spent for these purposes, sales and marketing especially, in order to make product differentiation and all these things. In such cases, whereas in other departments in the same organization, because of lack of proper resources, they are they are feeling stress. Why stress? Because this.
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Hello, ma'am. Perhaps the question is about that interdepartmental stress, the stress between the
Yes.
departments. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is a topic for the organization itself. Can you repeat that again, sir?
Hello?
Yeah, what did you say, Dr. Venugopal?
See, what are the possible steps in order to reduce the step of destructive conflict, madam? That is my question I would like to ask.
Okay. Yeah,
Stress
so
may
that's
cause,
what I was.
madam, stress may cause positive as well as negative conflict, isn't it? Positive stress also, that means constructive stress as well as destructive stress likely to be crop up in the organization while undertaking so many activities, performing so many activities by so many people. That means employees. So it may cause benefit to some departments where the same thing, because of lack of resources or diverting for other purposes, may be having adverse effects on some other persons. So management is in a dilemma how to resolve this type of problems. This is almost burning problems coming and in continuous fashion. How to resolve this type of problem? This type of stress problem.
First thing is, yeah, first First thing is communication. I think communicating, creating a team, and to looking into what exactly is happening. First thing is awareness. Okay, what is exactly happening? Okay, why is that happening? So this is a very organizational structure issue, which will require a lot of time and understanding of where the problem is and how that can be properly handled by diversifying the resource equally so everybody feels benefited from it. I mean, that's just like a mother's job. When she has 3 kids, one get to watch a movie, the other one has to stay home and do the work. They are going to feel frustrated. So how does mom compensates for it? It's like, okay, you have to do the homework, but I'm going to make you something very tasty in the evening, or maybe a sweet, so you don't feel alone because you have to do the work. So again, this is more of an administrative level work that requires, I think, teamwork. There has to be few people who have to step up and communicate and address it.
Okay, but thanks a lot, madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ma'am, we are towards because we have already completed the question and answer session. And as you know, we have already completed the 4 days of this webinar series. So we are on the last day of the webinar series. So those who are with us, to make it possible, let's listen from our participants. Kavya Reddy, Sri Engineering, Tirupati, Andhra Pradesh. Kavya Reddy, please unmute yourself and you can share your feelings regarding these 5 days. Kavya Reddy.
Yeah, am I audible, ma'am? Kalpana, ma'am,
Yes.
am I audible?
Yes, please continue.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Yes, a warm good evening, everyone. Myself, Kavya Reddy from Sri Venkateshwara College of Engineering, Tirupati, Chittoor District, Andhra Pradesh. So I had been attending the webinar from last 5 days and topics were very good and useful. I thank Sai Energy Institute of Engineering and Technology for organizing such a wonderful and useful seminar. And I also thank all the speakers for such fruitful sessions. So the 5 sessions: time management, role of ethics and values in human life, schemes of MS, MES, gender equality, stress management. So all the sessions are very useful and very fruitful for all the attendees. I'm looking forward for many sessions from Sai Energy Institute of Technology, Engineering and Technology. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ms. Kavya Reddy. Our next participant is Dr. J. Benugopal, Professor of MBA, KNR College of Engineering and Research, JNTU, Hyderabad. Sir, please.
Hello. Good evening, madam.
Yes, sir.
All the series in entirety are very excellent, madam. As far as today the session is concerned related to stress management is very, very, very highly very worthy, madam. I cannot express in my words, madam. This is a really practical orientation. Thanks a lot for effective session, madam. The entire program is very excellent, madam. Thank you very much, madam.
Thank you so much, sir. Our next is one of our alumni, Neha Mishra, from the batch 2016-20. Neha Mishra, please unmute yourself.
Am I audible to all?
Yes, Neha, please.
So much. Very good evening to all. Myself Neha Mishra from the alumni batch of 2016 to 20. It's really very pleasant moment for me to attend this webinar as the alumni of 2016-20 batch. After this webinar, I could realize that how useful is it. Special thanks to Kalpana ma'am for enhancing your idea towards this great thing and for making this so perfectly. And everyone knows she is a dynamic lady of synergy I have ever seen. Not only today, from last 4 days, I usually attending all the webinar, which is organized by Kalpana Sahu ma'am. But after completing today's webinar, I got more satisfaction and got realized that I gained something I gained from today's webinar. So I thankful on Madhabi Singh ma'am for because of today's content is totally connected with us and with connected with the teenager, all the teenagers. Because I'm not talking about myself, but also this is the only reason today's generation teenagers are looking more older than their original age because of stress only. So stress management is not a little bit things, but after this talk of Madhavi ma'am, I got some few idea about stress management. So I can say thank you only. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, dear. Thanks for your good words about the institute, about the program, and about me. Thank you so much. Ma'am, actually, we have got one more question. Do you have the time to take one question at last?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am. Stress leads to anxiety and panic attacks. So how to overcome that?
Yeah, so again, I will give you my example. So in my second year, third year of medical school, I was going through so much anxiety that I couldn't keep up with my education. But somehow, thankfully, I was able to make it through. But that year taught me until this age, now I'm 50 years old, that when I should just say stop. Okay, so I have to do 7 days of work at the hospital, 12-hour shifts. I have to pace myself. From Saturday, I just shut myself down, get myself all prepared. Sunday, I take good rest. Don't go out too much because I have to get in the momentum. Monday morning, I get up, I prepare myself well. So at the work, I'm very productive and efficient. So productivity is one thing, learning efficiency, and efficiency comes with when our mind is calm and collected. And that would, again, come from pre-work, preparing ahead. And again, I can't emphasize the simple things about getting good sleep, eating on time, avoiding too much processed food, especially during stressful times. I can eat junk food anytime, but when I have to work at the hospital or when I'm going through stressful time, I make sure I stick with healthier meals. And then through the day, and then when I come home after 12-hour shift, I just take rest. That 7 days, I don't schedule anything. Once the 7 days are over, the next day I try to do more things for fun and or any other responsibility. So again, learning your work, your responsibility, and preparing accordingly, and dividing the work like we talked about. Simple measures help fix the anxiety way more than a lot of different information you would read online. So again, stick with the basics.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to request Sri Vijay Sahu, Principal, Delhi Public School, Dhenkanal, to offer the vote of thanks. Vijay sir, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Kalpana ma'am. I'm audible, Kalpana ma'am? Hello?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Kalpana ma'am. It is rightly said, nothing is permanent. Don't stress yourself too much, because no matter how patient, it will change. Definitely it will change. I, Energy Institute of Engineering and Technology, College and Technology, and Dhenkanal, deem it my proud privilege to place on record the contribution of every noble heart towards the success of today's event. We all wish to express our gratitude to Dr. Madhavi Singh, that is Penset College of Medicine, USA, for this wonderful webinar, Stress Management. From the depth of my heart, I thank Dr. Madhavi Singh for this wonderful program, awareness program. She also talked about many things. Kalpana ma'am, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello, Kalpana ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. She has radiated the source of energy within us during this global pandemic. She talked about Deepika Padukone, that she appreciated her about she had talked in the public. She nicely answered all the questions asked by different viewers, especially Dr. Venugopal. And she has talked about amygdala, hypothalamus, adrenaline gland, the role of glycocortical. Very nice. Thank you, ma'am. I especially thank ma'am for this, all the words used by you, especially managing the stress, body relaxation, physical exercise. Thank you, ma'am, for your tips also. That is change the perception. Change the perception. Very, very thank you, ma'am. And even breaking the job and task management into the parts. That was rightly you have said, ma'am. Coping up with stress and even the self-care. Thank you, ma'am. Even we all are also grateful to our CMT, Sri Binod Das sir, Principal Ma'am Itishree of Synergy, Principal Sir of Synergy, that is Dr. Jageshwar Raut sir. We all are thankful to you, sir, for your great job that you have done. We are also extremely thankful to all our dignitaries, our special invitees, guests, representatives of different organizations, faculty members, participants and students for your silent witness and source of appreciation. Rightly said, give your stress wings and let it fly away. Give your stress wings and let it fly away. I will say, don't stress. Do your very best. Appreciate each and every step and forget the rest. Right, Kalpana ma'am? Kalpana ma'am? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I say that don't stress. Do your very best. Appreciate each step and forget the rest. Last but not the least, I thank Almighty God for his blessings that makes this program a great success. Thank you. Thank you to each and everyone. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Vote of thanks, which was quite a good one, that's satisfying to everyone. Thank you, sir. Again, I just want to add that I'm very thankful to all those persons, those who are behind me, just like me, team, that everyone has tried their best to make it complete and make it successful for since last 5 days. Maybe it was only a program of 5 days, but we have spent more than 15 days to make it complete and successful. So I'm very much thankful to Chairman sir, Principal ma'am, all my colleagues that they have put that trust upon me and they have put me forward to make it successful. Thank you all. Thank you all the participants, because this, as all of you know, that is the 61st. So very soon also we are going to make it a century, and we need that everyone's cooperation is highly sincere. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So bye for today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We can wind it up, ma'am.